Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to do a flow based around our glutes. So these are an important muscle group. They sometimes are underused, particularly if you sit a lot at your desk or you're driving. So we're going to really try to recruit our glutes throughout this sequence. And you don't really need any props in particular. If you like to work with blocks, they may come in handy, particularly as we start to burn out the glute. You might feel like you need props in poses where you may not normally need them. All right, so let's get started on our backs. Any position that you like. We're not going to be here for all that long, so take any moves or wriggles that you need. Maybe an exhale through the mouth. And then just begin to drop into your body and into your breath. And the first part of this class today will be really familiar poses. So see if you can take this opening meditation of being connected to your breath into these shapes. And if the best way for you to stay present is by counting your breath, then maybe you do that. Maybe you visualize the breath moving in your body. There's lots of different tools that we can use in order to stay present. So choose the one that works best for you. And then continue to stay present. You'll extend your left leg and hug your right knee in towards your chest. Just take a couple of breaths here. If you want to circle through your ankle, point and flex your foot, anything like that, go for it. And we'll take this into the twist, drawing your knee over to the left, right arm out to the right. And allow this to be less about sensation or a deep twist. Just continue with your mindfulness, connection to your breath. And just taking note of any areas that feel tight, or maybe even noticing if your breath changed as you moved into the twist. Coming all the way back through center, re-extend your right leg, hug your left knee in, give it a nice big squeeze. Again, any little movements here that make sense to you. Drawing your knee over to the right, left arm out to the left. Breathing deeply into the left side of your body. And it can be really easy, particularly if you are a type A personality or if you really kind of enjoy dynamic movement, to make every pose deep and full of sensation. And I know I'm really guilty of that. And trust me, as we move through this sequence, there will be opportunities to move in that way. But can you allow these opening moments to just be a little softer? Not everything has to be at 100% intensity all of the time. Coming back through center, either hug your knees into your chest, or if you prefer, you can take your legs up towards the ceiling and shake them out. We're simply going to move into supine pigeon. So again, you guys will know this one. Sole of the left foot down, cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Take your right hand to your right leg and just press the leg away from you until you start to feel a little bit of a stretch into your outer right hip. Very happy for you to stay right here. You could always interlace your hands behind the left thigh, or maybe even cradle your right shin between your elbows. So wherever you are in this stretch, focusing more on the breath, and perhaps even the relationship between your breath and the pose. So if you are able to soften your breath, does that allow you to then come a little deeper into the shape as you allow your body to relax? Can you soften your muscles, particularly those that don't need to be clenching right now? So I'm thinking the muscles around your face, your jaw, your cheeks. And we'll simply change sides. Right foot down, cross the left ankle over your right thigh. You can press the left leg away from you. And I really want you to think of lengthening your left sitting bone forwards and the left hip staying down. And from here, maybe you then explore adding on if you feel that is appropriate. And can you continue to pull your breath a little bit deeper into the belly? Last couple of breaths here. Happy baby pose, holding the outer edges of your feet. If that's too much, you can always hold your shins or even behind your thighs. Keep your tailbone lengthening forwards, your hips down. If you like, you can rock from side to side. You might even like to straighten one leg and then the other. And you're pressing your feet back into your hands as your hands pull down against the feet. Keep the back of your head relaxed onto the mat. Hug your knees all the way together. Give them a nice big squeeze. And then keeping your knees together, roll onto your left side. So you're going to prop your head up either by resting it on your hand, or you could bend your elbow. And then I want you to look down the length of your body, and you want to be able to see your knees, but they're not at a right angle. So they're not all the way up here. They're further down in line with your tailbone. And then from here, I want you to tuck the tailbone, pull the front ribs in. You can use your right hand just to support yourself here. Keeping the feet together, begin to lift your right knee up. Pause at the top, you'll feel this little squeeze, and then lower the right knee down. And that's all we're doing, is lifting and lowering that right leg. You could even imagine that you had a resistance band around your thighs,
if you want to feel that a little bit deeper. So the biggest couple of things that I see going wrong here is one is that when we get to the top, so when this top leg lifts, we roll back, right? And we want to stop that from happening because then we've lost the work. So you might even want to keep your right hand on your hip here and just give yourself that little bit of extra feedback. And the other thing that we tend to see happen here is that the belly hangs out, the butt's hanging out, we're kind of doing this funky thing, right? So in this variation, we want to keep the tailbone nice and long, ribs pulling in. You'll feel that squeeze in the outer right hip at the top. And you know, I don't know how many times I have done these little exercises, but I still always feel something. And that's what's kind of so great about it. It's nothing flashy. You don't need to be super flexible. You don't need to feel like, oh, I need to be able to balance or be super strong. But it's just really intentional, mindful movement, putting our mind into the muscles. Let's go for another 5. I'm really starting to feel that burn now. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Oh, it's burning. And then we're just going to simply roll over to the other side and repeat. So set yourself up, making sure that you can see your knees, lengthen the tailbone down, pull the front ribs in, and then we're just lifting and lowering the left leg. So my inner ankles, my inner feet are staying glued together. And if you feel like your top hip is really rolling open, maybe placing your left hand on the hip. So staying focused and using these kind of small movements to help us stay present. You're not just throwing your legs around and making some fun shapes, but you're being really intentional. And it's very likely that one side is going to feel pretty dramatically different to the other side. So my left side starts to burn out pretty quickly. It's my weakest side for sure. See if you're clenching your teeth. Maybe you're holding your breath. So just keep checking back in with those little things. Oh, it's burning. Let's go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. You're from here just going to push yourself up to a tabletop position. So you can spin yourself around, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your sternum, lift your sitting bones, cow pose. Exhale, press the floor away from you, cat pose. 2 more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Your last one. Find a neutral spine from here. So we want to draw the belly up and back, hug these front ribs in. And then extend your right leg back, bend the right knee so your heel is towards the ceiling. And you'll start to take teeny tiny little pulses here. So what I like about this exercise, which I'm sure many of you have done before, is it can tell us lots of different things about our body. So for me, because my left side is pretty weak, I actually feel a lot of the work here in my left hip, even though that's the stabilizing leg. And that's because my glute med is having to work so that this isn't happening, right? So the very act of having to keep that left hip pulling in means that I'm having to work pretty hard. Now you might be like, hey, that feels okay to me, but I'm really feeling this in my right hip. And that makes sense too. Yeah, glute max is working here. And you want to be trying to lift this right leg from the space between your right butt cheek and your right hamstrings. And just one last thing here. Notice what I'm not doing is this. We're not getting our back involved. Everything through the torso staying really steady. Arms are straight and strong. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and straighten your right leg. Point your toes. Hug the outer left hip back in. And then you'll take the right leg all the way over to the left. Give it a little tap to the floor. Draw a smooth circle as you take the right leg over to the right. Give it a tap. And then taking it back over to the left. Find your own rhythm here. Slow and steady. Really trying to isolate the work into those few muscles that we've spoken about. We'll do one more here. And then draw the right knee back in. Inhale through cow pose. Exhale, cat. Come back to center and we'll change sides. Pull the belly up, hug the front ribs in. Take the left leg back behind you, bend the knee, and then we begin to pulse. Slow and controlled. Keep your outer right hip hugging in. So listen to the feedback that your body's giving you. It can be really useful, particularly if you are feeling like a pretty big dramatic difference between both sides. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Point the left toes, extend the leg. You'll take the leg back behind your right leg, give it a tap. Draw a smooth circle with the left leg as it goes all the way over and taps to the left. Again, smooth circle to the right and to the left. Trying to keep everything else pretty much nice and still. I mean, there will be some movement, but we're trying to control the other parts of the body here. We'll do one more, tapping over to the right, all the way to the left, and draw your left knee back in. Whew. You'll tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Ay, ay, ay. Pedal out through the feet. Notice that work into the hips that you've just done. And if there's any little movements or wriggles here that you need to take, go for it. And eventually you'll start to settle into your first downward facing dog. Spinning the fingers out, pressing the floor away from you, finding length through your spine. And maybe even closing your eyes here as you start to drop into your rhythmic breath. Maybe that's Ujjayi breath. Step your right foot to your right thumb, lower the back knee down, reach your arms up. You'll bend deeper into your right knee so the knee goes beyond your toes. Drop your right hand to the floor or to blocks and then side bend to the right. And choose a comfortable position for your gaze. So you don't have to just throw the head up if that feels uncomfortable on the neck. Then scissor your inner thighs towards one another. Try to squeeze your right heel back towards your left foot. You might feel this deep stretch through the front of your left hip, maybe all the way into the belly. We'll lift back up, hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Step your left foot to your left thumb, lower the back knee down, reach the arms up. Bend deeper into your left knee and then drop the left hand off to the side or use a block, reaching up and over with the right arm. Lifting all the way back up, hands come down, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forwards, plank position. We'll hold and breathe this first high plank, and if you need, lower the knees down. So arms are straight and strong, you're spinning your inner elbow creases forwards. Pull the sternum forwards a little bit, and even though you're pressing the floor away from you, I want you to make sure you're not, fully flexing your spine here. And then lift up through the navel, squeeze your butt, feel your outer hips hug in. Take a full breath in, exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift into plank pose. We're gonna take a super slow lower to our bellies. So lower the knees if you need, bend your elbows, begin to lower for 5, 4, smooth this movement out, 3, 2, and 1 to your belly. Up onto the fingertips, wider than the mat. Inhale, peel your chest up, fingertip cobra. And release back down. 2 more. Inhale, roll up. And release. Last one. Inhale, peel the chest up. If you want to shimmy out through the shoulders here, go for it. And release, downward facing dog. Walk your feet all the way to your hands, feet about hips width distance apart, and choose any forward fold you like here. So you could wrap the arms behind you, maybe you want to circle out through the wrists, flick the fingers. Let your upper body hang. Your head is heavy, neck is long. Release your arms, press into your feet, begin to roll yourself all the way up to standing. And at the top, roll your shoulders back and down. Gather your hands into prayer and allow your eyes to close. Perhaps setting an intention for your practice here today. Inhale deeply. Open mouth, exhale. Release your arms. Allow your eyes to flutter open. So we're going to come into chair pose. I would go for a more narrow stance than you may normally do. It doesn't mean the feet have to be all the way together. And then reach your arms up. And pull your hips back and down a little bit more. Now pay attention to your right outer hip here. I want you to try not to let it swing out too much. The weight's going to come into your right foot and you're going to tap the left foot out to the left and pull it back in. 2 more times, tap to the left and in, tap and in. Changing sides, out to the right, for 2, last one. Chair pose, inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to lengthen. Step back, plank pose, breathe. Inhale, shift forwards. Slow, controlled lower, all the way to your belly. Thumbs in line with the low ribs. Inhale, peel your chest up, cobra. Squeeze your butt here. Press down through all 10 toenails and then maybe hover your hands. So feel the muscles of your back body working. And release. Downward facing dog, or add a push up to high plank. Downward facing dog. Feel the connection between 2 hands and 2 feet on the mat. Lift the right leg, bend the knee, open up through the hip.
Exhale, knee to nose. Step the right foot forwards, step the left foot forwards. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Rise to stand, reach up. Hands to prayer. Chair pose, sit low, reach up. 3 times tapping out to the left for 3. Sit a little lower, 2. Last one. Changing sides for 3. 2. Last one. Chair pose, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale as you lengthen. Step back, plank pose. Shift forwards, lower halfway chaturanga to your belly. Inhale, cobra, peel the chest up. And release, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg, bend the knee, open up through the hip. Exhale, knee to nose, shift forward, step the left foot forwards, step the right foot forwards. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Rise to stand, reach up. Hands to prayer. Last one, chair pose. 3 times to the left for 3, 2, and 1. Change sides, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale in chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step back, plank pose. Lower chaturanga, pause. Stay for the inhale. Stay for the exhale. Upward facing dog. Pull your chest through. Lift the thighs, lift the knees. Take it back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. Bend the knees, inhale, look forwards, travel to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Rise to stand, reach up. Hands to prayer. Chair pose, regular chair this time. See if the hips can pull back and down a little bit more. And almost imagine that you had a resistance band around your thighs and it was like you wanted to push the thighs out a little. Lift the chest up a little higher, think cobra in the upper back. Exhale, fold. Inhale to lengthen. Step or float back through a vinyasa. Remember, you can always skip these out if you need. Downward facing dog. Lift the right leg. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the right foot forwards. High lunge, come on up. Crescent pose. We'll pull the right hip back, left hip forwards. Maybe a little bend in the back knee so that you can lift up through the lower belly. And then you'll bring your chest forward, sweep your arms back, Dekasana. Hug the outer right hip in. And try not to let your belly fall onto the right thigh. So you want to keep picking it up. Extend from your left heel out through the crown of your head. Stay here, or if you like, reach both arms forwards. Hug your biceps towards your ears. Again, stay here, or 3 times. Draw your left knee to meet the right. Step it back. Pull it in and back. Last one. Inhale, lift up, high lunge. Exhale, release, vinyasa. Lift the left leg. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the left foot forwards. High lunge. Come on up. Refine the pose. Dekasana, sweep the arms back, chest forwards. Hug the outer left hip in. Stay here or reach your arms forwards. If you are reaching the arms forwards, really reach through your fingers. Keep the arms straight and strong. Stay here or 3 times pull the right knee in. Step it back for 2 and 1.
Inhale, lift up, high lunge. Exhale, hands down, vinyasa. Downward facing dog, 3 deep breaths. Bend the knees, inhale, look forwards, travel to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, sit low, reach the arms. Rise to stand, Tadasana. You'll take your feet as wide as the mat for Malasana. So spin the toes out and bend your knees, hips come down. So if you find that you're not super low here, it might be nice to reach the arms out. It's a nice counterbalance. If you can come all the way down, maybe hands in prayer. Don't get too caught up in whether your heels are all the way down or not. Focus on drawing your knees out, lifting the chest, and finding a little bit of curvature in the spine. So it's almost that same thing as cobra in your upper back here. An option is to stay right here. If you're coming with me, you're gonna lift your hips up 1/3 of the way, lift the hips 2/3, lower 1/3, lift 1/3, lower 1/3, and all the way down. Good. Again, you're going to lift 2/3 this time. Lower 1/3, lift 1/3, lower 1/3, lower all the way down. I know, that's not super fun. Hands are going to come to the floor. Lift your hips up and heel toe your feet in. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Lift your right leg. Exhale, knee to nose, step through, high lunge position, reach your arms up. Take an inhale here. Exhale, Dekasana. Inhale, reach your arms back up. Exhale, Dekasana. One more, inhale up. Exhale, Dekasana, pause. Take your arms out wide this time, like an airplane. Keep pulling up through the belly and hugging the outer right hip in. Keep the arms wide as you transition to Warrior 3, lifting your left leg. If this is too much, hands can be in prayer, or you could even have your hands on blocks to make it a supported Warrior 3. So either staying here, or if you want more, you're gonna bend your left knee and pull your left knee and your right knee all the way into a small ball, and then expand everything out. 3 more times, pull it in, get low, and expand. It's gonna be wobbly for 2. Last one. Standing splits, both hands down, maybe onto blocks, as you fold your chest over your right thigh. And try to lift your left leg from that place between your left butt cheek and your left hamstrings. So when we were in our tabletop position and doing that work, think of lifting the leg from there. Lift up onto your fingertips. You're going to bend both knees and tap your left knee to the outside of your right ankle. Get super low and then extend back to standing splits. 3 more times. Get low, Shiva squat and extend. Last 2 and 1. Step the left foot all the way back. Walk your hands to your left foot, Skandasana. So your left heel is down, your right toes are curling back towards your right shin. You might be up here, totally cool. So you can either have hands in prayer, you could open up the arms, or if it's available to you, you might want to move from side to side.
If you are choosing to move from side to side, particularly if you're really flexible, try to lift up and out of the hips a little bit. You'll probably find it's more challenging, even though it's not as deep. So we'll meet in Skandasana with the left knee bent, the right leg straight. Hands are gonna come onto the floor. Walk your hands to your right foot. Find warrior two legs, but keep your right hand on the floor or on a block, and then reach your left arm up. Scoop your right sitting bone towards your left heel, and then reach your left arm forwards. Reach from your fingers to the outer edge of your left foot. Staying here, or for the last couple of breaths, maybe reaching your right arm forwards as well. Keep your right knee bent, warrior two. Whew, feel that bend. And then straighten through the right leg. Flip the front palm, inhale, reverse your triangle pose, reach up and back. Maybe reach the left arm back as well. Really ground down through the right big toe mound as you reach through your right fingers. Last full breath in. Exhale, hands to the floor, plank pose. Slow, controlled lower all the way to your belly. You'll bring your left forearm down. It's parallel towards the front edge of your mat. And then roll onto your left hip. So setting up similar to where we were at the beginning of practice. This time, your right leg, the top leg, is going to straighten and lift away from the bottom leg. And then you'll bring your right hand on top of your left hand. All you're gonna do is lift your bottom hip from the floor and lower it back down. Lifting and lowering. So notice I'm not scissoring this top leg. That top leg just stays lifted. I'm simply just pressing the floor away from me so that I can lift that bottom hip. And my torso is actually somewhat revolved towards the floor, so I'm not trying to open towards the ceiling. If you want more, you can bring your right fingertips to your temple. And you'll feel this pretty quickly into your left glute. Whew. This was always a favorite of mine, maybe not of my students, when I taught in person. Let's go for 3. 2. It's hard enough to make grown men cry. Last one. And release. Come down onto your belly. Reach your arms back. Press down through all 10 toenails, and then peel your head, chest, and shoulders up away from the floor. Squeeze your butt a little. So you're not trying to jam or like squeeze at 100%, but you certainly want your glutes active here in your back bend. And release. Downward facing dog. Lift the left leg. Knee to nose, step the left foot forwards, high lunge, come on up. Take a breath here. Exhale, Dekasana. Inhale, reach. Exhale, Dekasana. Last one, inhale up. Exhale, Dekasana, pause. So get your hips nice and steady. Reach your arms out to the sides. Pull up through your belly. And we'll transition to warrior 3 from here. Weight into the left leg, lifting the right leg. Maybe hands in prayer, maybe hands onto blocks. Stay here or coming with me, bending both knees, pulling everything into a tight little ball, and then expanding everything out. 3 more, pull it in, and lift, for 2.
Last one. Standing splits, hands down. Lift the right leg up. Making sure your right leg is active and strong here. Lift the chest up halfway. Bend both knees. Tap your right knee to the outside of your left ankle. Get nice and low. And then extend it back up. 3 more. Tap. Get low. And lift. 4, 2. Last one. Step the right foot all the way back. Walk your hands to your right foot, Skandasana. So spin those toes out a little, straightening through the left leg. And then trying to squeeze your left heel down into the mat. Maybe you open the arms. Maybe you're moving side to side. We'll meet in Skandasana with the right knee bent, hands to the floor. Walk your hands to your left foot. Find warrior 2 legs. Keep your left hand down or on a block and then reach your right arm up. And let's do this just for a moment. Allow that left hip to swing out and you'll see what it feels like when this glute isn't engaged. And now scoop it underneath you so that the sitting bone is pulling towards your right heel. From here, reach your right arm forwards. Staying there, or if you like, reach the left arm forwards. And I know this is challenging. Try to keep that front knee bent. Warrior 2. Now straighten through the front leg. Flip the front palm. Inhale, reach up and back, reverse. Maybe reaching your right arm back as well. Last full breath in. Exhale, hands to the floor, plank pose. Lower with control to your belly. All right, we have to do the right side. Bring your right forearm parallel to the top edge of your mat. So my right knee is bent. Left leg is straight and lifted. And then all we're going to do is lift and lower the right hip. So obviously you want to make sure your shoulder is also nice and happy here. So you're really pressing that forearm, your right hand down. Your torso is somewhat curving towards the mat. And again, it's like I was saying at the start, I don't know how many times I've done these, but I always seem to feel like it's a challenge. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And lower all the way down. Come onto your belly. Whew, it's burning. All right, we're gonna wrap the arms behind us, Shalabhasana, change up the grip. This time, if you like, begin by lifting the legs, and then lift head, chest, and shoulders, Shalabhasana. Spiral the inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Again, squeeze the butt a little and go for length rather than height. And release, child's pose. Feet together, knees wide. Pull your hips back towards your heels. And you can make this as active or as passive as you like, depending on what your body needs in this moment.
Check back in with your breath. And perhaps use this as an opportunity to reconnect to that deep rhythmic breath. Downward facing dog. Let's take an inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Lift the right leg. Knee to nose. Step the right foot forwards. You're going to hop the back foot in about 1/3 of the way and spin the toes out for pyramid pose. Lift the chest up halfway. Maybe you want to pull the right hip back or kind of realign yourself. And then we'll fold the chest over the right thigh. So you could always have blocks underneath your hands here or come up onto the fingertips. Just being mindful that you're not hyperextending the right leg. So a little micro bend in the knee is a good bet. And think of pulling your sternum towards your right ankle. Bend your right knee, warrior 3. A little bit of a different transition, so take your time getting there. Again, we'll extend the arms out like an aeroplane. Once you found your balance, bend your left knee and begin to slowly spin your torso to the left, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Maybe then extend the left leg back. Hugging your outer right hip in. Take up space, make yourself nice and big. One-legged Tadasana, coming up to stand, drawing your left knee into your chest. And then lean back a little, press your hips forwards. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh, figure 4 chair. Reach the arms forwards for a counterbalance as you pull your hips back. Find that little lift up in the chest. Now try to keep your right knee this bent. You're gonna just extend the left leg back and then find your way into a high lunge. Open up, warrior 2. Straighten through the front leg. Inhale, reach forwards, triangle pose, right hand down, reach the left arm up. So I'm pulling the right hip back, allowing the left hip to roll forwards. And then take any variation you like here in your triangle pose. Keep scooping your right sitting bone towards your left foot. Strong feet come all the way up to stand. Turn the right toes in so that your feet are parallel, toes in, heels out, hands to your hips. Inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, fold. Walk your hands away from you so it's like you're in a short, wide, downward facing dog. I'm just being really mindful here not to simply dump into the shoulders. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, have a little look at the screen. So this is me just kind of hanging out in my shoulders. You can get my head all the way down. And it actually feels pretty good, particularly because my body allows me to do this. But it's not necessarily where I should be if I want to work on strength and on the health of my joints. So I'm lifting out of my shoulders, and then I'm trying to squeeze my hands back towards my feet. And I actually get more of a stretch here now through my underarms, through the sides of my body. Walk the hands back in, and then you'll walk your hands to your right foot. Spin all 10 toes to the front of the room. Left hand stays down, reach the right arm up, easy twist. Spiral your chest to the right as you hug your outer right hip in. Last full breath in. Exhale, release, hand down, step back, vinyasa. Lift your left leg. Knee to nose, step the left foot to left thumb. You're gonna hop the back foot in about a third of the way, spin the toes out, pyramid pose, lift the chest, and then fold over your straight left leg. And remember that we can always overdo a cue or overdo an action, and I'm very guilty of doing that in my own practice. So just keep that at the back of the mind as well. Like when we're drawing the left hip back here, I know some of you, if you're really kind of mobile, you can actually then overdo that action and twist in the other direction. So it's just about trying to find that balance. You'll bend your left knee. Warrior 3, start to shift the weight forwards and find your way into the balance. Arms out in an airplane position. Bend your right knee. Slowly spin your chest to the right. Ardha Chandrasana, maybe kicking the right leg back. Hug your outer left hip in. One-legged Tadasana, draw your right knee into your chest, give it a nice big squeeze, press the hips forwards. My hair keeps falling in my face and it's messing with my balance. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, pull the hips back, reach the arms forwards. Find that little lift in the chest. We're going to keep the left knee bent low like it is. Just pick up the right leg and extend it back. High lunge position. Open out, warrior 2. Triangle pose, straighten through the front leg, reach forwards. Left hand down, right arm reaches up. Trikonasana. Maybe you're adding on an arm variation. Come all the way up to stand. Turn the left toes in. You'll interlace the hands back behind you. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. And so you're working your arms, your hands away from your lower back. Stay active through the legs, active through your feet as they pull up and in. And then maybe you're even looking all the way through your legs and tipping your hips forwards a little bit. Bring your hands underneath your face, lift up halfway. Walk your hands to your left foot, spin all 10 toes to the front. Right hand stays down, reach the left arm up, easy twist. Last full breath in. Exhale, release, vinyasa. Take 3 breaths here in downward facing dog.
we're gonna meet on our backs. So you can either simply sit down, lie down.
If you know how to jump through, or if you're practicing your jump throughs, jump your feet through,
and we'll lie all the way down.
So we're gonna come straight into bridge pose. I would suggest in this bridge pose, either holding onto the outer edges of the mat, or you can bend your elbows, fingers towards the ceiling like robot arms. And then really ground down through the feet. Before we lift up, I want you to flatten the lower back down and lift the tailbone so that you're coming into a posterior tilt of the pelvis, right? Not a neutral spine, but a posterior tilt, and then press into the feet to lift the hips up. And try to maintain that positioning of the pelvis the whole way. Maybe wriggle the shoulder blades a little bit underneath you. And then wriggle the feet a little closer together. Stay here or extend your right leg forward. So my right thigh is in line with my left thigh. It's not lifted up here, it's in line. Either stay here or keeping the tilt of the pelvis, you'll lower the hips down and then drive the hips back up. 4 more, lower, press up. 4, 3, these are super hard by the way. 2, last one. Rebend the right knee and lower all the way down. And just pause and breathe there. All right, second side. Set up your arms, set up your feet. Before lifting up, you want to tuck the tailbone, flatten the lower back down, and then squeeze your butt to help lift you up. Heel toe the feet a little closer together. This time extending the left leg, your thighs are in line. Stay here, or you're gonna drop the hips down, keeping that alignment of the pelvis, and then drive them up. 4, 4. 3, 2, last one. Rebend the left knee, lower the hips all the way down, and take a breath or 2. So we have one final back bend here. Maybe it's a regular bridge pose if you would like to do that, or if you'd like to come into wheel and it's part of your practice. Feet about hips width distance, hands coming back behind you in line with the ears. And then you might even like to practice wheel with that posterior tilt. So like we did preparing to come for bridge, flatten the lower back down, peel the tailbone up, start to peel your spine up. Crown of the head onto the mat, and then lift the chest up. So you want your big muscle groups working for you here in this back bend. So the muscles around your hips, the legs. And release all the way back down. Hug your knees into your chest. If you want to take a little rock from side to side, that might feel good. Keeping both knees bent, take your arms out, left foot on the floor, cross your right leg up and over the left, heel toe your feet to the right, and then allow your knees to drop to the left, maybe looking over the right shoulder. So perhaps this twist is a little deeper now. And even if it's not, or if you don't feel like pushing it, that's cool. Allow this,
final couple of moments of practice to be soft again. Coming back through center, unraveling the legs and crossing left leg up and over the right. Heel toe your feet to the left. Drop your knees to the right. Supine twist. Come back through center, unwind the legs. Take any final symmetrical finishing move. So it could be happy baby, maybe it's Supta Baddha Konasana, legs up the wall. Anything where you can take final wriggles or movements. And this is your final pose before Shavasana. So as and when you feel ready, you'll make your way to your resting pose, whatever shape that takes. And really try to rest for about 3 to 5 minutes, giving your body the rest it deserves and needs after that sequence. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, get in contact if you have any questions or comments. Until next time, namaste.